I love deep state censorship.
So do I. It's one of my favorite things. It keeps me safe.
I love the government. I love the government getting involved in social media, and I love social media bending the knee to what the government wants.
Well, because guys, you don't understand. There are just some topics that are just too sensitive. Mm-hmm. There are just some things that I don't want to hear personally.
And I personally like it when government censors things under the guise of seemingly noble pursuits, like eliminating hate speech or protecting children.
Yeah, that's always good.
It's fair, it's righteous, it's just, I would say.
Never once has any of these justifications ever gone too far.
No, never once. And we have another example of this. Yeah. Of course, we're being a little bit facetious. We're kidding around a little bit. And this time, the way in which the government is getting involved in social media, getting involved in speech, is on TikTok.
Yeah.
My glorious TikTok. Probably the reason you're listening.
I was going to say, my glorious app, 95% of you found us on TikTok. Yeah. And the only reason the other 5% of you found us is because enough people came over from TikTok to actually get the show popping.
Yeah. And there's been some worrying developments from TikTok for a while. First of all, when they sort of kowtowed to Donald Trump and put out that message where it was like, thank you, Trump, for protecting free speech.
Yeah. Well,
you remember
first of all, when Joe Biden said, yes, time to ban TikTok.
Yes, I will say, yeah. Joe, that was kind of the Democrats' fault. And then Trump kind of got the dub on that. And then I think recently TikTok announced that like a sale is going to happen, or the Trump administration worked out the details, something like that. And now there's a new chilling development. And I feel like it's beyond parody.
Yes, it is.
It's a bit too on the nose for me. I'll just tell you what's happening. TikTok's new hate speech manager is from the IDF.
Guys,
her name,
it couldn't be more obvious.
Yeah, her name is Erica Mindell. She's the new hate speech manager for TikTok, and her job description involves, quote, spearheading long-term policy and, quote, serving as a subject matter expert on anti-Semitism and hate speech in internal and external meetings, and analyzing hate speech trends focusing on anti-Semitic content. You can assume what a former IDF member might think is anti-Semitic on TikTok,
especially at a time like this. Especially when we're looking at ways to probably maybe make the platform more right-wing to kowtow to Trump, or just do things to just kowtow to the Republican Party and what's going on right now. It's just going to be anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism, but enshrined in TikTok policy. And it's like, the crazy thing about this to me is that already kind of like was the case. Our personal experience when it comes to posting videos about Gaza on the platform is they almost always, with the exception of like one or two maybe, perform worse than other videos. And we almost always get shadow banned if we say Gaza. Yeah. And it's like a real shadow ban. Usually, let me spit some game to you. Let me put you on to TikTok and being a creator on the platform. Usually an account of like, specifically our account, right? 120,000 followers. We usually bottom out at like 7,000 views for like a video that maybe was a dud or something like that. That's just the minimum amount of people that our videos get pushed out to before they're shared around. If we post a video about Gaza, sometimes that shit hits 200 views. Yeah. And then stays there for like a day. And then we notice the next couple of videos we post don't get any views either. Yeah. And it's like, it's incredibly obvious what's happening.
And it only hasn't been happening recently, I think, because we talked about Israel in relation to the Nelk boys, at least for the clip that was posted. And then in relation to Alyssa Slotkin, which was another viral thing at the moment. So it seems like as long as we connect it to something else, it might be okay. But if we just bring up like ongoing news, like a new death toll or new strikes or something like that in Gaza, the algorithm hates it.
Yeah, no, it's not a fan. And it's going to be even worse now.
And this person specifically, I thought, okay, maybe she was just born in Israel. They have compulsory membership in the IDF. You have to join, like everybody gets conscripted. It turns out that not only was she a member of the IDF after she graduated from university, she also was an instructor in the Armored Corps. She was about it.
Oh, she oh my God, man.
And then more recently, from 2022 to 2025, she was serving as a contractor for the State Department during the Biden administration.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, so she is all about everything Israel is doing right now. And she's going to be serving as somebody who moderates the content that gets posted and seen on TikTok. I think one of the biggest social media platforms in the world at this point.
One of, if not the biggest. Yeah. Like it's got to be, man, that's
especially for video content. Yeah.
Fucked up for creators like us.
Fucked up just for like spreading like truth and criticism of empire or like prevailing ideologies. Bad on the whole, I think.
Fucked up for people with moral clarity.
Fucked up for human life. I don't like to see it. Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Yes, warm welcome back on this fine week where everything's going to go right and nothing's going to go wrong, and our democracy is not deteriorating.
We are firmly in August now. It's Monday, August 4th. August, my least favorite month.
Yes.
It's hot. Business is about to kick up once you get into the fall. I don't like it.
July goes by way too fast. And August is just a month of waiting.
Mm-hmm. July did go by really fast this year, just like last year when Trump got shot, then Biden dropped out.
Oh my God, yeah.
What a quick month, man. July always
every single time.
A super fast month. But we're back. Hito's back. We're giving you another episode. Today we're talking about how everything is Palantir and the deep state is geeked right now.
Yeah. Nothing good, as per usual. Mm-hmm. But what's new?
If you thought we were done talking about censorship just because we talked about TikTok, you're wrong. We got more censorship to talk about today, under the guise of protecting children, of course. We'll talk a little bit about geopolitics. We've got an interesting update, both geopolitically out of Israel and Gaza and some stuff that's going on here. Really fantastic stuff we're getting out of the New York Times.
Fantastic stuff. And we got to talk about gerrymandering.
There's a redistricting war happening right now that we hadn't been covering.
We got to talk about gerrymandering. We got to talk about how the Democrats are finally catching a vibe on something for once.
Yeah, but it might be too late.
Exactly. Far too little, far too late. And then we got to finish off the episode talking about how Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because
the job numbers were bad. Just because he didn't like the numbers that were put out. Real fall of an empire type shit. You know what I mean?
Really today we have to talk about how trust in all of our institutions is fundamentally eroded and there's nothing that we can do anymore.
Yeah, and like the Democrats are, sort of slightly pushing back, but the Republican Party's like, yeah, this shit don't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Whatever.
But anyway, we're coming back with another episode. If you want early access to all of this stuff, remember, we're recording this on Monday.
Yes.
And if you're not on the Patreon, you're listening on Wednesday.
Greg Abbott may have arrested all of the Democrats in the Texas state legislature by the time you get this episode.
Exactly, and that's a problem.
And we have no idea being from the past.
So make sure you go over and become a patron if you want early access. You can also get onto our postcard list. Postcards are going out sometime.
Postcards are like half in the mail right now, and they will be fully in the mail by tomorrow. So everybody in the domestic United States, the continental U.S., if you will, should be getting those by the end of this week.
Absolutely. So if you have a 50% chance,
you got a 50% chance
of getting your postcard this week, and the rest of you, of course, will get your postcard pretty soon. But
I would like to add that if you're on the Hito postcard program, and if you would like to be on the Hito postcard program, go to Patreon. Help us get to our new goal. You can see all the numbers. They're all public. We don't hide a thing from you.
We don't.
And then you could all who are on the program get stickers.
That's right.
Postcards, stickers, that's free things. Yeah. We love free things.
That's the next goal on the Patreon. So if you want all of that, make sure to become a patron. We'll get you on the next postcard round that we do in not September. Yeah, it would be September because this was.
Yeah, it would be September because it's August and it's a month of waiting to have to send out more postcards.
Exactly. So all that is in the description. If you want to follow us on various social medias, it's all there. Lastly, if you want to support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple.
And now Spotify
as well. We'll get to the Spotify at the end, though, because we have a lot, low-key.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with the Apple ones here, 5-star reviews. This first one from the Lucky Prophet. They say, you cannot fathom how much I condemn Hamas and political violence. I realized my previous review had no condemnations whatsoever, and so I felt I needed to fix it. The Hito Boys helped me fend off the Republicans at work that believe their biggest problem is immigration, all the way up in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. You're on the border of Canada. I just wish they would open their eyes to the true antagonists, the Canadians. Gotta agree. Fundamentally agree.
It always just, once again, we live in Michigan as well, too.
Yeah.
A border state.
Yeah.
A border state in the northern border. And the amount of people that care about the southern border is infuriating.
It's ridiculous.
This does not affect you.
Not even a little bit, dude.
Not even one bit. This next review, 10 out of 10 from Aaron and his Gundam Gundams. Yes, I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence. As a loyal listener from Long Island, New York, yeah, I know, talking about politics here as a blue dot in a red area can be infuriating and heartbreaking. Although listening to Jeremy and Gage brings a sense of humor and joy in otherwise depressing topics, and listening while building my Gundam model kits makes the process a little less time-consuming, it also brings me a little bit of hope having the younger generations fight for good. Fellow comrades, I salute you and thank you for all you do with love. Aaron and his Gundam Gundams.
Let's go.
Aaron, I would also say, DM us a picture of your Gundam collection on Patreon. I do want to see that. That's just for me. I can't even lie.
Next one from Wolford G, number one, political, geopolitical, non-parasocial, hot. New podcast.
Big on that.
Big on new as well. We haven't been doing this for any amount of time whatsoever. This is the first episode. First, let me condemn hummus and all forms of chickpea violence. With that out of the way, I want to quote Hito scripture. Good things are good. And bad things are bad. It says it on our poster right here, folks.
Enshrined in the studio.
So stop wasting your time listening to other podcasts of two white dudes talking about politics who are bad and start listening to these two white dudes talking about politics who are good.
And that's really the level of analysis you need to come at it with.
That's all you need, man.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Armed with that knowledge, that's all you need.
Yep.
These two Midwesterners are the greatest tertiary news source and bring a perfect balance of seriousness, humor, and straight up bewilderment of the current political news to your podcast feed. Every week they got me, a 30-year-old straight white man, apologies, waiting on my bed, kicking my feet in the air, staring at my phone for the new episode to be released. I just can't get enough of my definitely not parasocial best friends, Jeremy and Gage. Keep up the good work. 5 billion stars out of 5.
That's a whole, I think we beat the star record. I think we beat the star record. Next review, Condemnations for the Glory of the Boys by J.P. Morris. I bow down to my podcast app of choice and cry out, I condemn Hamas and all political violence. And I sob knowing I am not strong enough to join the Patreon. Big on that. My dear white boys, I apologize dearly. Please take my 5 stars as my penance. In Hiddo name we pray. Amen.
You know, we used to have a Patreon ad where we admitted openly that you could buy your way into heaven.
Yeah.
At least I think that's the old one.
It is the old one because it used to be the Sunday sermon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right,
yeah.
Of course.
Real ones know. OGs know. It was the Sunday sermon for years.
But you can still buy your way into heaven.
Even if
it's not a Sunday sermon, you can still buy your way into heaven. This is the church pre-Reformation.
Yeah, they do Wednesday Mass.
We have no Martin Luther. This last Apple review from straight out of the big ATL. This show is incredible. They say, let me start off by saying that I can do Hamas and all political violence. I'm gonna guess that means condemn. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Now that I've got that in there, I have to say these two quirked up white boys are the best, and I mean the best news source on the planet. I have established a complete echo chamber around their work and refuse to consume any other media. That's how good they are. Please give them a listen.
And good things are good and bad things are bad.
Truth.
And with that, I think it's appropriate to launch our topics for the day.
Yeah.
To really get in the meat and potatoes of what happened over the weekend.
Yeah, you know.
What we might have missed last week.
There's been some stuff circulating that we hadn't got to. Part of it is the redistricting thing we'll talk about later. But one of the big ones is that everything is Palantir.
Yeah.
Everything is we live in a surveillance state.
And there's seemingly no way of getting away from it anymore.
Yeah, your data is taken in by massive tech companies and really without your permission or without any real meaningful consent is sold to all kinds of different people that then use algorithms to decide what you might like and where you'll be when you see certain things so that you'll purchase certain things. And it's it's terrible.
Yeah, step one was to make everything you own a subscription. Well, everything you own in the biggest air quotes possible.
Right.
A subscription service that's online that you don't actually have any real ownership over and can be taken away from you at any moment. And then the step after that was to, after they capture all the media you love, to make you input your biometric data.
Yeah, and then make your job even less stable if you even have a job and you're not just stuck in the gig economy. And then when the job numbers come out, lie about them.
Yes.
That's the state that we're in. And today we're going to be talking about the Kids Online Safety Act, because this was something that was big last week.
Well, what could be wrong with that?
This has been something that people have been debating for quite a while, and it's something we need to talk about here.
What could be wrong with the Kids Online Safety Act?
Exactly.
We love online. We love safety. We love kids being safe.
It's true. So we here at Head in the Office, of course, want kids to be safe online. And the Senate decided that they were going to finally do something about just how terrible online environments are, especially for children. And I think they might have made an error.
No, really. I'm sure the Senate, our most beloved institution, our most democratic institution, surely did not falter and surely did not take people's feelings around the issue of kids being safe online and misuse them and pervert them into something that I certainly would not like.
Yeah, I'm sorry to report that this is certainly one of those moments where it's like the solution is worse than the problem.
Yeah.
They have passed this. Like, there's definitely something we need to do, and we'll talk about that. Like, something needs to be done about how exploitative a lot of online spaces are, especially for kids. But what they did is not going to really help it, and it's going to make everything worse for everybody. So let's get into it here. So the Kids Online Safety Act passed the Senate last week, overwhelmingly 91-3. And KOSA, which is the abbreviation of the act, does the following from the AP, quote, KOSA would create a duty of care, a legal term that requires companies to take reasonable steps to prevent harm harm for online platforms minors will likely use. They would have to prevent and mitigate harms to children, including bullying and violence, the promotion of suicide, eating disorders, substance abuse, sexual exploitation, and advertisements for illegal products such as narcotics, tobacco, or alcohol. Social media platforms would also have to provide minors with options to protect their information, disable addictive product features, and opt out of personalized algorithmic recommendations. They would also be required to limit other users from communicating with children and limit features that increase, sustain, or extend the use of the platform, such as autoplay for videos or platform rewards. And then lastly, enforcement would fall to state attorney generals, which is kind of crazy, or just the FTC in terms of defining what is harmful to children. So on the whole, this doesn't like sound immediately bad.
No,
right?
yeah, it really doesn't sound bad. But I guess like what immediately I'm left wondering is how none of this is explicitly defined in a way that makes enforcement clear. Like, how do you, or that makes compliance clear? Because one, enforcement's already an issue. Like, how do you enforce something like this? What do you define as an addictive practice online?
Yep.
And how do you comply with this?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some stuff here that would clearly fall into the category of like exploitative or abusive, right? Like if you're pushing gambling to kids, like clearly that's a bad thing to do. And I think that clearly falls under this bill. What becomes a little bit less obvious is what the government is going to choose to define as harmful for children. And if we're under a Republican government, why wouldn't they just say like, oh, anything to do with transgender folks, kids shouldn't be able to see that online. And then of course, platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, would be proactive and just ban that content entirely so they don't get flagged for this when they show it to kids by accident. You know what I mean?
No, it's just like how in Florida they've literally defined like existing as gay in school or showing people, gay people in a school setting is harmful to kids. Why would they not just do that same thing online? That's what they believe. That's what they've told you they believe. That's what they've campaigned on believing.
Right. So that's the sort of first issue with this bill is like, what are we allowing the government to censor if this does end up passing? Which I feel like it probably will because it got bipartisan support in the Senate.
Yeah.
Republicans fuck with this kind of thing and they run the House. So I would assume this is eventually going to pass. But like, what are we allowing the government to censor and how are they defining harmful, especially when they have their own ideological agendas? But on top of that, you have to ask, how is the platform going to know who is a kid? And the answer to that very likely will be through having to submit your identification or your ID for verification by these platforms. Yeah. This means submitting a driver's license.
And that's not like an unheard of idea. That's not even an untested idea. I think it was this week. Last year, the UK passed a similar bill. Yep. And this week, to get on fucking Spotify in the United Kingdom, in fucking London, you need to submit a picture of your ID.
Yeah.
Or like do some facial recognition thing that will tell you whether or not you're actually of age to access the platform.
Yeah, I've got a quote from Wired here on the UK law that passed last year, just went into effect last week. It says, quote, the Online Safety Act requires that websites hosting porn, self-harm, suicide, and eating disorder content implement highly effective age checks for visitors from the United Kingdom. These checks can include uploading a document ID and a selfie for validation and analysis. Essentially, like if platforms are already inventing these solutions involving like checking your driver's license, why wouldn't they just implement it in the US?
Yeah, no, literally.
Like if it already exists for the UK, they're just going to do the same thing and make a US version.
They have the infrastructure. They just need to flip a switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Should the thing pass? Like, because obviously a lot of people are going to be upset with this. They're not going to do it unless the law passes. But should the law pass, they'll just flip a switch, and now you got to submit your ID or you got to submit your facial recognition to be able to get on Spotify, to be able to listen to your downloaded songs. Yeah. And it's like they also do this in the United States as well. I think in Texas, to be able to access porn websites or websites that have more than 1/3 of their content being sexual in nature, porn, you have to upload a state ID or prove that you're not a minor. You have to prove you're over the age of 18 in some other, quote, reasonable commercial like way. And that can include something like banking information or stuff like that, which is not something I want on a website like that.
Banking information is crazy.
Banking information especially. Even my driver's license, like your driver's license number, is that not sensitive information as well?
Of course.
That's something that like only you and the government know. It's like a social security number, but not as intense.
Yeah, no. So, like I said, this is a scenario where the solution is far worse than the problem is. Like, yes, kids do need to be protected online from exploitative or harmful content, but that isn't accomplished through forcing every single person that uses online websites, which everybody.
Yes.
It's not accomplished through forcing everybody to upload their ID to a private company just to like listen to music, watch videos, engage with other people on social media. One, because it's just like an imposition on our privacy, right? Like people, I think a right to privacy is a good thing, and I think we should maintain that as much as we can, even if some legal scholars don't think it's actually in the Constitution. Two, these companies sell our data. I don't want like, sensitive information bundled up in the fucking data profile that YouTube or whatever marketing company is building of me. And lastly, companies lose data all the time.
Like I don't want to be giving them a new business model just like for free. I don't want to be able to sell my driver's license number or even my driver's license picture. I don't even like my driver's license picture.
And that's the worst part of all of this.
And that's the worst part of all this is that somebody's going to see that. It's absurd. And like you said, like I get an email, I feel like every other day that my password's been breached, that my password's been leaked on this new database that just got hacked by fucking whoever. You think they're not... People hack the government for stuff. You think they're not going to try and get your social security, your bank account information, your driver's license information, any of your personal identification information from any of these websites that now have to host that data?
Yeah, and it's like, I get it. These companies, they already build like a digital profile of you. Like they probably already know where you live. They generally can predict like where you're going to be and when they should push certain ads to you. I understand that. Like it's already an incredibly invasive market.
They probably
that exists
know
here.
Far more intimate details about me than my driver's license number.
But uploading the ID to like everybody having to upload their ID to these private companies is like a whole step beyond. And is a threat to not only privacy, of course, but it's just like a threat to your personal information to a degree that we just haven't seen. And I think that's bad. On top of the government being able to choose what they don't want online.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, so we got two bad things in this bill. That doesn't mean that I think there's like no role for the government here in protecting kids, right? Like, I think the government could step in to regulate harmful online content for everybody and not just make it a kids thing, because then you get around the whole ID thing. There's still questions around like, what is the government allowed to censor? What is considered harmful?
I was going to say, because even then, like, yes, I can also concede that there probably is a role for government, but that role should be figured out through a rigorous process, because the questions at hand are so fundamentally complicated. I have no fucking idea how to even begin to answer the question of like what the government should be allowed to censor, how the government should be allowed to step in online, which is really the new like fucking town square, and be able to say what you can and can't do.
And like fundamentally, it's just a parenting thing.
Yes.
I think the government could absolutely have a role, and certainly in like education, because they can say things like, or they could like produce resources and material for teachers to use to teach students how to be safe online. The government can create resources for parents to use in terms of parenting. But it's like, at the end of the day, you just have to control what your kid has access to and what kind of devices they use.
It's an issue. It's an issue of parenting, and it's an issue of like content moderation on individual platforms. And just being a rigorous steward of the online age as a parent, understanding where your kids might go wrong. Like, just be an involved parent, and then maybe your kid won't find themselves in places that they shouldn't. And I mean, sometimes that stuff is going to happen, but it's like that can also happen in real life as well. And when something like that happens in real life, we don't go, the government should stop kids from accessing these spaces or being out on their own or being able to interact with anybody. We say, okay, maybe we should examine situations that led the child to want to go there in the first place. Maybe we should examine situations that make somebody want to be a predator towards a child. And maybe we should allow parents or have parents be stricter when it comes to their parenting and more involved.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing the government could do is like break up these massive companies that collect and sell all of our data really without our permission.
Big fan of trust busting and doing that.
Yeah. Trust busting. And like, we could just have greater regulations around the sale of our data. What is legal to sell data of a person? Like, we could do that kind of thing. And that would certainly crack down on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I think this issue for a lot of it is just like, you gotta parent your kids.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be, the government can't just come in and like censor stuff broadly just to prevent kids from, like, kids are going to see fucked up stuff. And that's bad, and we should do something about that. But I do think that the government stepping in and deciding what's harmful would be far worse.
And it's also like, just like, the solution I don't even feel like is well thought out either. What happens when a child uses their parents' stuff to log into something anyway?
Yeah.
What happens when a child uses their parents' stuff to get on a nefarious website, and now that's associated with their parents' ID?
Yeah.
And all of this other things going on. Like, there are so many ways around it. The online world is fundamentally just like too complex to think of these elementary solutions.
Yep.
Again, we don't stop kids from going out in the world because an adult could be a predator towards them. The same thing happens online. You're not going to meaningfully stop an adult grooming a child in an online chat room by doing ID verification.
Yeah.
That's just not the reality that we live in. People are going to find ways around it. People will still access the sites that they want to access.
Yeah. To me, this is just a handout to like Facebook.
Yeah.
Like they're geeked about getting all of this data. They love data collection.
It's a handout to Facebook, and then they'll give it to ChatGPT, they'll give it to OpenAI, and then they'll start making an actor that looks like me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's bad.
And now they own my likeness. And I don't know, man. It's just, it seems like a slippery slope, if you will.
I don't fuck with the surveillance state.
I don't like it at all, but I do fuck with content moderation and parenting.
Exactly. That's a good thing to do. Parenting. This is a pro-parenting podcast.
Parenting, yeah. Do you want a kid or do you want to be a father? You know what I'm saying?
Great way to put it. I hate commercials.
Me too.
I hate listening to them. I hate when I hear them, whether it's on TV or on podcasts.
Grr, I just can't stand commercials. Grr.
They're the worst. And the one place you can go to avoid commercials, like this one you're listening to right now, is patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Become a patron, and you get early access to our episodes, and they're all completely commercial free. No more interruptions.
And you could be one of our friends.
And that's arguably the more important point.
And, you know, in trying times like this, friendship is what we really need.
Friendship's really important. And you can buy your way into being a friend of ours by heading over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Again, early access to episodes, no commercials, access to all of our content before anyone else sees it. Become a patron. Moving on now to geopolitics. Let's get serious.
Let's get serious. We're the number one podcast for a reason. We talk about serious issues seriously.
Number one Middle East Studies podcast.
Big on that. Get Alyssa Slotkin on the podcast. I heard she was a Middle East analyst.
Man, I'm still riding high from that interview, dude. That shit was great. But this week, I want to touch again on the developing situation in Gaza, specifically like what's happening between Israel and Gaza at the moment and the talks that the U.S. is involved in here. And then we'll talk about Democrats.
Yes.
Because Democrats are the other piece of this puzzle. And they're not doing too well.
Not a piece you can leave out of this puzzle if you want to have a robust understanding.
Exactly. And I like robust understandings of puzzles. So the New York Times reported over the weekend that Israeli and U.S. officials are basically giving up on a 60-day ceasefire. They've said it's impossible. It's not going to work. So they are going for a quote-unquote all-or-nothing deal, which is just as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. Please tell me how this is different from the previous ceasefire negotiations.
Yeah, so before we get into like what the deal is itself and what the U.S. is proposing, this comes as Israel has publicly stated they believe only 20 hostages are still alive in Gaza. Some images came out over the weekend of hostages looking emaciated. Apparently, this shocked the Israeli public. I wonder why they might be emaciated.
No, that's the thing. We brought this up last time, too. It's like you're starving the entire population and think that they're going to, like, let the hostages feast? I mean, they should, but I think everybody should feast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody should be starved out at all.
Not even feast, just like eat.
Exactly.
Just like get what you need to live for a day.
Yeah.
Like that's all we're asking for.
Get enough nourishment for your body to function.
I'm talking 2,000 calorie diet. Like that's all I'm talking about. And for some reason, that's a controversial take. Despite what Alyssa Slotkin was saying about the offensive being over, quote, from the New York Times again, quote, Israel has continued launching military strikes on Gaza, even after it has facilitated the entry of more aid into Gaza in recent days. The Palestine Red Crescent Society said on Sunday that Israeli artillery had hit its offices in Khan Yunis, killing one of the aid group staffers and injuring others. So the offensive very much is still happening with our bombs.
Yeah, the offensive with our bombs is very much still happening, and they're very much still attacking medical facilities. Medical facilities, attacking the Palestinian Red Crescent. They're very much still attacking nonprofits, people who are there to do good in the region and have nothing to do with Hamas.
Yeah, and one other thing to mention that I don't know if we touched on when we talked about this last, but yes, they're allowing more aid in now. Yes, some food aid is moving in, but it's not like if you're starving, especially if kids are starving, that they can just start eating and be fine. There's like refeeding treatments and procedures that they need to go to that won't be able to happen because all the hospitals have been destroyed. Yeah. So it's not as simple as like person is starving, you just give them food. They need to go through some treatments to ensure that like their body doesn't, get shocked and die when they go back to eating a normal amount of calories. So it's a whole problem. We need medical intervention, and that's just not going to happen in this scenario.
It turns out the problem with starving an entire population of people, the problem with policies of enforced famine is that it's much more than just eating and not eating. There are far-reaching consequences that happen after it. To even get people to be able to eat again, you have to do things. It's a medical investment. It's a resource investment. It's a time investment.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that's capable under the current conditions right now.
Yeah. And like we said last week, like there's like kids would be changed on like a genetic level if they survive. And that shit is a crime against humanity.
I wonder who's been saying this.
It's fundamentally evil, man.
Who would have thought that?
So getting to the deal itself, Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy to the Middle East, apparently said that piecemeal deals are not working in a recent meeting, which is funny because piecemeal deals are all that we've had, and they had worked to return the hostages if that was the goal.
I wonder why they didn't work. I wonder if we take a moment to think as like the audience and the people creating it, like why the ceasefire deals didn't work.
They worked in the sense of like returning hostages, like all the hostages that they got back for the most part were during ceasefire.
They were during the ceasefires, yeah.
But like, yeah, I wonder if there was a specific actor that violated the ceasefires.
Yeah, if we think for a moment about like one actor that had violated every single ceasefire and then said, no, we don't want to keep doing this straight up when they violated the last ceasefire. I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, I don't know, and nothing comes to mind.
Let's take a moment to think on that while we talk about what Steve Witkoff had to say.
The New York Times reports that the U.S. and Israeli officials are working on offering Hamas an ultimatum.
Okay,
that's what all this was framed around.
Once again, how is this different?
Just listen to what they had to say, and you can tell me if this is different. Quote: under the terms of the ultimatum, Hamas would have to release the remaining hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and agree to terms to end the war that include the group's disarmament. Otherwise, the Israeli military would continue its campaign.
This is the exact same thing that they've been like arguing over in these ceasefire negotiations. These are like it's the fucking kill yourself deal.
Yeah.
It's either you kill yourself or I kill you.
Well, and this isn't even like necessarily, it's not different from the negotiations. It's not even different from what's happening presently. Right now, it's hand over the hostages or we'll keep killing you. And now they're going to give an ultimatum saying, sign this official document or we'll keep killing you. What's the difference?
No, literally. And it's like Hamas could just disarm themselves right now and then it's not a formal deal, but it's the same situation. They're still going to keep killing them.
It's essentially like submit to total occupation and kill yourself. Otherwise, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. That's not a negotiation.
No, it's not a negotiation. And this is the same. These are the same terms that have been going on for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It was fucking under Tony Blinken's vacations in the Middle East where we were talking about how this is not a fair system. Israel's not coming at this in good faith. They're not negotiating. They're telling Hamas to kill themselves or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing here. And the fact that Steve Witkoff and the Trump administration is putting out this idea that, we're giving Hamas the one final ultimatum, negotiations that finally broke down, is just telling me that they're willing to let Israel do literally anything.
Of course, yeah.
And there's nothing that they're going to do to stop them. They're not going to try and pursue further negotiations, even though negotiations haven't really been happening since the last ceasefire broke down. Negotiations weren't even happening. Like, what makes the last ceasefire such a baffling occurrence?
In January?
The most recent one, I can't remember if it was January. Yeah, it was January because it led up to March, and that's when they blockaded the whole region. Is that like it was a phase deal? The first phase was a ceasefire, and the second phase was supposed to also be a ceasefire that implied further negotiations for further hostage releases. You get to the second phase, and Israel said, "No, we don't want to negotiate anymore," because they were still on this bullshit of kill yourself or we'll kill you. Mm-hmm. This situation has fundamentally been the same. We just have world leaders just giving up now.
Yeah.
Not even world leaders. We have Trump and his administration saying we are giving up and letting Israel, one, walk all over us, kind of a bitch move if you ask me, and two, just do whatever they want, kind of an evil move if you ask me.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And if you're asking like, okay, well, what is Hamas demanding? Like that's Israel and the United States' ultimatum. What's Hamas want?
Let me guess. It's just pulling out of the strip.
Recently, Hamas said that they will not accept a deal unless it includes Palestinian statehood. To me, a reasonable request, even though I'm not really a two-state solution kind of guy.
I understand on this podcast, we espouse the ideals of the one-state solution, but recognize that maybe a two-state solution is the best we're going to get.
One democratic. The reason, one of the reasons I'm so hesitant historically of a two-state solution is like look at India and Pakistan.
Yes.
That's not necessarily like a good. The British did not do a good job.
The best solution is just to not be bigoted.
Yeah.
The best solution is just to go do the fucking liberal thing, get together and sing kumbaya. You know what I'm saying?
Multiculturalism is the only real way to do this in a way that doesn't lead to like genocide or I don't know, nuclear powers threatening each other.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think it's a reasonable request from Hamas's angle for a Palestinian state, which is how you know Netanyahu will never ever accept it. They have said as much. And one argument I just want to touch on that we constantly see is like if we give Palestinian statehood now, or if we engage in like hostage transfers Palestinians for people that Hamas took on October 7th, then essentially it's proven proving that what they did on October 7th is a good strategy to get concessions, right?
So
So therefore, we shouldn't like offer them anything. We just need to totally crush them. Otherwise, we're like validating the strategy. But of course, this argument completely ignores all of the history before October 7th and all of the underlying struggles in Gaza for Palestinians that led to the conditions of October 7th. Terrorism doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have taken hostages. They wouldn't have tried to engage in this kind of negotiation after they committed their acts on October 7th, which I condemn, of course. They wouldn't have done any of that if like shit was good.
Yeah.
They were living under conditions of apartheid. They still are. They now have 2,000-pound bombs dropping on them. Why would they not just start Hamas too? Eventually, you're going to have to just come to the table and figure out how you can live together. Otherwise, this fighting will continue. And of course, the one with all the power here is Israel because they own all of the land.
And it's like, what was it? Bush? Was Bush the guy that's like, we don't negotiate with terrorists?
Yeah.
What has that line ever got us? What has that line ever done? Fucking Al Qaeda runs Afghanistan now, or the Taliban. The Taliban runs Afghanistan now.
Yeah.
Not negotiating with terrorists has literally never worked in the entire history of there being fucking terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the situation we're in. I don't know why. So much of what's going on right now is just building on the failed forever wars in the Middle East, the failed wars on terror, and proving that nobody will ever learn their lesson.
Yeah. And it's just, maybe this kind of thing wouldn't have happened. Maybe October 7th wouldn't have happened had Palestinians had a state, had they not been forced into conditions of apartheid, had they not been routinely subjected to different kinds of occupation or military strikes out of nowhere that they have no control over or cannot anticipate. Maybe if conditions weren't so unstable, this kind of shit wouldn't happen. But it happened.
It did.
And now we have to deal with the repercussions of it. And the only real way forward is one where we can find some way to give the Palestinian people hope for a better future. That's the only way you can take the power, the political power, social power away from a group like Hamas. And with the ultimatum, quote unquote, that they're offering, even though it's nothing new, that's not that effect is not going to happen.
If you continue to push a large group of people into more desperate and desolate conditions, they will rely on the guys that are willing to do like the most thing to try and get them out of that condition. Nobody supports militant groups in countries that have regular stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Because you don't need to. You don't need to support a militant group that wants to fight for liberation when you like have your basic needs met, when you can go out and get a job, when you can get education, when you can get healthcare, when you can do whatever you want. It's entirely a position that's born out of desperation, and we've known this forever.
Yeah, exactly. And we should do something about it, but we won't. We got an evil government in charge.
Exactly. The thing we're doing about it is Alyssa Slotkin missing a vote, saying she would have voted for it, and then going on to say, well, in the future, I don't really know.
Yeah, and we got some words for the Democrats in just a moment. But lastly, from the Trump administration, I think just before we started recording, the Trump administration said that any state or city, like any local government that is boycotting Israel, is not going to receive disaster emergency funding.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's literally Israel first, not America first.
Israel first. Another $1 gajillion to Israel. And oh my God.
Yeah, if you do any like boycott or resolution against Israel on a local level or on a state level, we're not going to give you any disaster funding.
Which is just freedom of speech. Like anti-BDS laws. I don't know how these haven't been challenged. I don't know how these haven't been struck down as like a violation of your First Amendment rights. Mm-hmm. Who are you, the government, to tell me, a United States citizen, that I have to support another country?
Yeah.
That I have no ties to, no connection to whatsoever. That I don't even agree with morally with what they're doing right now. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Just imagine if you're living in a city and maybe you don't even agree with the proposal that they passed where like they're boycotting Israel or something, and then the government's just not going to give you disaster funding if you need it.
Yeah.
Why are we prioritizing on the level of local politics? Why are we prioritizing Israel and how hurt their feelings are?
Imagine you're a Zionist in like fucking Virginia and a hurricane comes through, but your local town passed a BDS resolution and you're fucked now.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
It's dumb.
It doesn't make any sense, and it should be called for exactly like what it is every single time. Like nobody should ever get up and stand for this. Nobody should treat this as like an acceptable way of doing politics, an acceptable way of trying to sway influence. You are holding your population hostage.
Yes, literally holding your population hostage.
Holding your population hostage just so that Israel can get a few extra bucks.
Is literally saying like, if your state or city has talked bad about Israel, I will let you die if a storm comes through. What the fuck? Why? Why is this the policy? That's insane.
What the hell is going on? What a country, man.
Yeah.
What a real country. I do got to say one thing before we move on to talk about the Democrats about what's been going on geopolitically and the Palestinians saying, Hamas saying that they want Palestinian statehood in their things. What was it? The UK this week, Keir Starmer threatened Israel with if they don't stop the genocide, they're going to recognize Palestine as a state.
Yes.
And that's already one thing of itself. But what really got me, and the reason that I really bring that up, is because I had seen this one piece of criticism against what the British want to do that said, really, wow, the British came through and drew artificial lines through the Middle East, and that's how we got to this mess in the first place. And it's like, so what do you mean they're going to do it again? And it's like, that's how you got there.
Yes.
That's explicitly how Israel got there, is because the British came through and drew artificial lines in the Middle East and kicked the Palestinians out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be making fun of them for that one.
In the eyes of the British, Israel didn't exist before 1948 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like you have benefited from them arbitrarily drawing lines
until the British called Palestine a land without a people and for a people without a land, and then let you do the Nakba. It wasn't even a country.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to like make up for all of the wrong they have been complicit in, the United Kingdom.
The UK redemption tour?
It is just so funny that they're like, if you don't let aid in, I'm going to recognize your enemies as people.
Yeah.
Like that is, I don't know. I think that's funny. Also, just on like a philosophical point, every line on the map is fake and arbitrary.
Yes.
None of them are real. So what do you mean? They're all arbitrary. Identifying a people as like state, a people with a state, I think that's a fine thing to do. I think it's a good thing to do.
I think it is a good thing to do.
Yeah. But,
even if a two-state solution isn't the most ideal solution.
Anyways, bringing this geopolitical issue domestic, Democrats are still cowards.
Democrats, man.
Democrats. Of course, last week we talked about how half the caucus voted to end offensive aid. The measure failed, of course. Slotkin was not there. And after our episode, actually, she put out this statement basically saying, like, if I was there, I would have voted yes. But in the future, it'll be a case-by-case basis.
It's so easy to say you would have voted yes on a bill that may be slightly controversial when you don't have to actually endure the consequences of having that yes next to your name on the record, on fucking C-SPAN when anybody wants to look up that bill.
Or when it comes time for you to ask for checks from AIPAC or other, pro-Israel lobbying groups.
Exactly. Yeah. You can say you would have voted yes on literally everything without having to be there to do it. Fucking everybody says they would have voted yes on the Civil Rights Act, but we know a lot of the people in Congress right now would not have voted yes on the Civil Rights Act should they have been alive at that time and grew up in that context.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things that hindsight does.
Yeah, it also, her statement got me for a few reasons. One was the passive language throughout, like, people in Gaza are starving rather than they are forcibly being starved.
Yep.
Like, it's an intentional campaign of starvation. They're using the lack of food as a weapon here.
It's not just like they ran out of food.
Yeah.
They've been forced to not have food.
Over the course of months. Like, aid trucks have been trying to get in and they've been turned away from the United Nations.
They're confiscating baby formula.
And then she says, like, yeah, I would have voted for it, but in the future, it'll be a case-by-case basis. And that's how you know she's carving herself an out to vote no in the future if she's actually there. And not on fucking Colbert.
Well, this case was just like, I just couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Maybe there was defensive aid. Why is she so allergic to saying no more offensive weapons?
Yeah.
That's like the most banal statement you could say at this point to maybe even pretend to dip your foot into the coalition, to even dip your foot into the right side of history. Just say no more offensive weapons. It's the least you can do right now. Yeah. And she can't even commit herself to that.
And one of the things she said was like, she doesn't like the government doing foreign policy in the way where it's like the legislator exerting pressure, because here would be like Congress trying to do foreign policy, force Israel to take another position by cutting off offensive aid.
Motherfucker, like, Congress does foreign policy when they declare war.
Well, yeah, of course. But like, other than that, it's like the president's not going to do it. So like somebody, like a genocide's happening. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah. Somebody has power so they can go and do it. Why? This is like these sacred halls liberalism coming back and rearing its ugly head. Like, I got to respect the institution and what the founders envisioned of what's supposed to happen here. It's like, fuck,
Israel didn't exist when the founders were alive.
Just stand for something, dude. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's fucked up. I can't even say she was a disappointment because I knew she would act like this.
No, literally.
But damn, she sucks so bad. Speaking of another Democrat that sucks, Richie Torres, a New York Democrat, was quoted by the New York Times saying, quote, "Do I think the relationship between Israel and the Democratic Party is irreparably damaged? The answer is no. Do I think the relationship between Netanyahu and the Democratic Party is irreparably damaged? The answer is yes."
You know what? This is big for Richie.
This is big for him.
This is big for Richie. This is a big statement for Richie Torres to finally say one negative thing about Israel and not beef with streamers online.
But it's just this is the thing that I see a lot of liberal Zionist types doing, is they separate out support for Israel as a state or support for Zionism as a sort of like ideology, and support for Netanyahu's government. And all I got to say to that is, like, in Israel or in the current government right now, Netanyahu is kind of a moderate.
Yeah.
Like, especially compared to people like Benny Gantz, who was in Netanyahu's cabinet, by the way. And Netanyahu is just carrying out the Zionist vision as it was envisioned like 100 years ago or whatever it was.
It's also just like, much like Alyssa Slotkin saying she's going to take every vote on a case-by-case basis, and she would have voted yes on the vote she wasn't there for. Richie Torres saying, like, the relationship with Israel isn't damaged, but the relationship with Netanyahu is just a cop-out for whatever he's trying to do, because is this going to manifest in a change in how he votes? Is this going to manifest in a change in policy? No. It's just him, for the first time ever, acknowledging that Netanyahu may be doing a couple bad things. But like you say, you can't separate out Netanyahu from the rest of the government. If the EU actually had some balls and stood up to Trump in the trade negotiations and said, like, yeah, sure, the relationship with America isn't damaged, but the relationship with Trump is damaged, that'd be one. Like, you have to back that up with, like, policy. I could get behind the idea that maybe our relationship with some ally somewhere isn't damaged, but you have to still condemn the actions of the government at that time. You can't just say, yeah, it's this one guy.
Especially if we're talking as something as severe as the treatment of Palestinians. Yeah.
It is Netanyahu. It's also Netanyahu's government. Netanyahu is the figurehead of this government. He represents this government. He is leading this government. He is calling the shots in this government. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? If you think the relationship with Netanyahu is damaged, do something about it then. Yeah.
And it's just like the founding idea of Israel as a Jewish ethno-state was, as you said earlier, a land for a people without a land. And the problem was historically that, of course, there were people on the land.
Lots of them, actually.
It's an inherently genocidal mantra to assign to your nation-building project. And, of course, the issue, again, is that there were people there. It was mostly like a multi-ethnic society. There were some Jewish people there. There were Christians there. There were Muslims there. And Israel came in, well, the UK more specifically came in, and said, like, this land is now going to be Israel. And that's where the problems came from.
Didn't they, fucking, in the Nakba, didn't they evict like 700,000 people?
Yeah. Well, and even before that, there was, people would come in, they would purchase the land, they would kick out the people, because it was mostly an agrarian society at the point. So they would kick out the people that were living on the land and then essentially establish like Jewish ethno communities where other people, Muslims, were not allowed to participate. And over time, the land that Palestinians had shrunk, and the land that Israel, as endorsed by the British government, had continued to grow and grow and grow. And here we are now.
What they call that, settler colonialism?
Yeah, I don't fuck with that at all.
I don't rock with that.
I don't fuck with that at all.
It's almost like what we're still seeing in the West Bank right now.
My point is just that, like, yes, some Democrats will try now to separate their support for Israel as a state, as a sort of idea, from their support for Netanyahu. But Netanyahu is carrying out the Zionist vision. It just looks like this because this is what ethno-states do.
Yeah.
They do genocides because you have to cleanse the population in order to have your ethno-state. That's what an ethno-state is. Like, it's a state based on one ethnicity, based on prioritizing one group of people over another. And if you want to have your state composed of only the in-group, then you got to expel the out-group. And this is what it looks like. So
it's not pretty.
It's not pretty at all. Now, that's not to say that, like, the next Israeli PM will be just as evil as Netanyahu. I think the next one actually probably will be eviler than Netanyahu, because Netanyahu mostly faces pressure from his right flank.
This is true.
But that's not to say that every Israeli PM has to be just like Netanyahu, right? And like, there's differences.
That's just another point against the Richie Torres thing too. It's like, oh, I condemn Netanyahu, but not Israel. It's like, but like, there's a lot of guys in Israel that are really bad.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say I condemn like the entire, like, you know, as a state, yes, I condemn it. I don't condemn the entire people of Israel. Obviously, they're
civilians,
chill people in there. Civilians have nothing to do with it. But that government is fucked, man.
Well, yeah, and the problem is, like, I condemn, like, Israel for what they do right now. I condemn the Zionist project as, like, an idea. I don't like ethno-states. I fuck with democracy and multiculturalism. But also, there are some just, like, insane views held by the Israeli people.
Yes.
And this doesn't justify violence against civilians, of course, but there's been public opinion polling done recently where it's like a majority of them just want to expel Palestinians, and that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And that's really bad. And I don't know really what you do about that. And the response that some people will have is like, oh, well, a lot of Palestinians, like say in the Gaza Strip, are also anti-Semitic. And like, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But only one group of people is being actively genocided right now. And that's the group of people I'm going to care about.
And one group of people were actively like paying for the facilitation of that genocide of.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like that's how you get here.
The issue is the Zionist worldview. That is the problem.
And it's just like the finance minister, the money guy,
yeah,
is one of the guys out here making the most genocidal statements.
Yeah, like
man.
starvation might be cool.
Like there is a rot in like Israeli right-wing politics. Like even the moderates don't even push that far back against Netanyahu. I think it was a couple months ago I covered something that was like the moderates were like, I mean, yeah, you can still like continue the war, but like just don't do it as bad.
Yeah, and like again, when I bring up the public opinion, like a lot of it is because true like left wing or maybe liberal left wing Israeli organizations are marginalized by their government, or marginalized by other political units within Israeli society, and a lot of the time the right wing ones get platforms. I mean, the right wing ones get fucking spots in government, and that pulls the population further to the right, and they have these just insanely genocidal views, and I think that's bad. I think this is like the end state of ethno-state projects is the displacement, marginalization, and eventually the killing or extermination of the outgroup, and that's bad.
It's just like when you're looking at a government that's got a guy like Ben-Gvir in there.
Yeah, Ben-Gvir.
He's saying, I'm going to collapse the coalition that's propping this government up right now, kick you out of power because you're not killing enough Palestinians. That in of itself should be very condemnable. That in of itself should get you to say, hey, maybe we should reconsider our allyship in this moment instead of just, Netanyahu's a bad guy.
Didn't Ben-Gvir last week say that like Netanyahu letting aid in is like a stain on his record or something like that?
Man,
like allowing aid in is the bad thing that Netanyahu did in this scenario. Ben-Gvir is fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, he is.
He's just the most crazy person. But ending off this section of geopolitics coming domestic, I want to talk briefly about polling and the future.
The future.
2028.
It's closer than it seems. I promise.
There's a lot of people, even the Pod Johns from last week, Pod Save America, saying like, in the future, we need no Democrat to be like in support of Israeli operations like this. Like it's just too far. Democrats should not be taking AIPAC money, and that's big.
That is big.
That is very big.
They're big voices. Those are the Obama guys.
And so I want to read off one last section from this New York Times story to give you a sense of the spiral that's happening within the establishment at the moment. Because, Chuck Schumer said recently, like, his goal is to keep the Democratic Party pro-Israel.
Nice.
And I think he's freaked out.
His goal is New York Senator.
America first, baby. America first. So from the New York Times, quote, nationwide, a Gallup poll released this week found that approval of Israel's military actions in Gaza had plummeted to 8% among Democrats. Yep. And I think that was something that we talked about last week. This is my favorite part of the article, dude. This shit gets me geeked.
Oh, no.
Quote, already, some pro-Israel Democrats are quietly wondering whether they will have any representation on the 2028 presidential primary debate stage, or if support for the country, however nuanced, will be regarded as a liability.
Dog, 8% of the party approves of what's going on, and you're trying to tell me that they need to be represented on the debate stage? This is an enduring issue. This is an issue that has taken over things. We got people who have switched up that I never thought before would actually switch up and have the moral clarity. Like this soon at least. And you're telling me that you want that on the debate stage? Brother, they want us to lose.
It just gets me that they're quietly behind closed doors worried that however nuanced their position won't be represented on the debate stage. Brother, good. You shouldn't be represented on the debate stage.
Pro-genocide. Guys, oh no, support for the genocide of these people, supports for the killings of at least, by the lowest estimate, 60,000 people won't be represented on the presidential debate stage. Brother, this is America.
Dude, if this ideology isn't represented on the debate stage, that shit would be gas, dude. That's music to my ears, man. If only we could be so lucky. More likely it's the opposite.
Fucking hot off the heels of the Zoran primary, where they're asking this guy, just because he's brown, just because he's made some statements in the past, whether or not he would make his first fucking visit to Israel, whether or not he believes Israel has a right to exist as the mayor of New York City, and you're fucking sitting here worried about whether or not the president is going to be speaking on the issue? Come on.
Yeah, like people don't like their tax dollars being wasted. Like just the idea of wasting taxpayer dollars does not sell well with really anybody. Who wants their money wasted?
Doge was like initially popular.
But especially wasting taxpayer money on a military offensive that is completely unjustified. Nobody fucking likes that. I hope it's treated as a liability.
Like, not only is it unjustified, but like we have no interest in it. And I say interest in like a foreign relations or like a fucking nation building sense. You know, like what fucking interest do we have in allowing Israel to continue the genocide? I can concede that we have interest in Israel being our ally for whatever nefarious other things we want to do in the Middle East, but you can still have that without having them actively commit a genocide and actively do really bad things.
Well, yeah, and that's like Israel here is a colonial project that exists in a time where, for the most part, colonial projects like this one don't happen so much anymore, right? Like you don't see colonies of the United Kingdom around very much. Like it's just not a thing that nations do under the like rule-based order. But Israel wants their turn to do it, so they're trying to do it, and everyone's like, "Hey, dog, this shit's not okay anymore." Yeah. They've literally said before, like, it's our turn to do this. Yes. Like, no, it's not. And it shouldn't have been anyone's turn at any point.
The UK got to have empire. Why can't we?
Exactly.
The UK got to run around and the Americans. You got to genocide the Native Americans. Why can't we genocide people for land?
Yeah. So it's not great, but also like I feel like it's far more likely that there won't be any pro-Palestinian voice represented on the debate stage rather than any pro-Israel voice.
Yeah, these kind of people just cry bully all the time. You remember when we posted that one video, the one chick who went to the UCLA protest and just started crying?
I was asking peaceful questions. Also, I was listening to I think it was Mehdi Hassan did a debate with somebody on like Pod Save America's network. I was listening to some of that, and Mehdi was asked the question basically like, when we say that there shouldn't be any pro-Israel Democrats, it seems like some people feel like isolated, they feel no longer represented, like the tent is shrinking or something like that. And my response to that is like, dog, it's not about you. No, like why do you feel the need to place your sensitivities in the center of this geopolitical conflict where kids are literally being starved?
Yes.
This issue is not about you in any way. You live in America.
Exactly. And it's like, why are we letting not only like one issue voters, but voters who are one issue voters for something that has no fucking effect on my material reality or anyone in the country's material reality? Why are we letting that dominate our politics?
Yeah.
The only reason that should dominate our politics is because it's an issue of moral clarity, and if you're against that, you should be shunned because you can't be trusted to believe in literally anything else. It shouldn't be that it dominates our politics because people are worried about doing less genocide. People are worried about Israel fucking... I don't even know how to like word it, how insane of a statement that is. The tent is getting... Oh no, I like the genocide that's happening. I feel like the Democratic Party doesn't have a place for me anymore.
It's just like we don't like do this kind of... And it is a sort of purity test, right? Like we don't do this sort of purity test on any other country in terms of like a genocide that's happened. Like if there's a Democrat running, we don't get anybody from the base saying like, oh, are you pro Bosnia because of what they did in the Balkans? Like it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't. It's only on this issue that we have such like an addiction to making sure that all of our politicians are sufficiently pro-Israel.
Ukraine didn't even become that big of a thing. Ukraine didn't even become that big of a purity test because the right was yelling about it and Democrats immediately ceded that, like, or at least some Democrats are like, yeah, maybe we are spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's not even that. That's a defensive war.
I think it's purely because like, military base in the Middle East, we want to use them as a proxy site, but also like AIPAC has too much influence.
Yeah, but also we let a foreign lobby come through and literally buy every single election.
Yeah.
Buy a lot of elections.
Country. Yeah, so not great overall. I do indeed hope that the pro-Israel view is not represented on the 2028 debate stage, but I feel like that probably won't happen.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a dream?
Because Cory Booker will probably run.
Cory Booker will make a really intense and passionate statement on the floor about how whatever happened was bad and blah, blah, blah. And then he'll never talk about it in a meaningful capacity again.
Yep.
Or when he has to vote on it, he'll just not. Nice. What a fucking cool guy.
2028 coming together, man. Before we know it, it'll be another presidential.
Yeah.
Who knows what the world will look like by then?
Rapidly approaching that cycle.
Bask in the glorious light of Hito merchandise.
Absolutely.
We have so much on offer that you can find right now at headintheoffice.com. We got stickers, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything you could possibly imagine. And it's divine, folks.
It's beautiful.
And it's one of the best ways you can support the show. So go and get some merch, bathe in the glory of the radiant Hito light, and support the show.
Support the show. We've got a variety of different colors. We've got blacks, we've got grays, and we've got green like money, most importantly. We love money here on this podcast.
So head over to headintheoffice.com, support the show, and get yourself some merch.
And, we could have a good look at what the world might look like then. We could have a good look at what individual states might look like as we get closer to 2028 when we talk about the current redistricting war that's going on. So just... right at the beginning, at the behest of Trump, Texas is just engaging in mid-decade redistricting. Usually redistricting only happens like a year after the census comes out. It's an every decade thing to adjust for the population. Mid-decade redistricting isn't all too common. It happens. Some other places have done it. Some blue states have even done it too. But this is strictly because Trump told Texas, do this and get me more seats because I'm worried about the midterms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Texas is doing it.
Trump said, hey, cheat.
Hey, for me real quick. Trump just win, and it's as simple as it sounds. He went and he told Greg Abbott he wanted Texas to redistrict so he could pick up more seats in 2026, and now the legislature is just ramming through a map that would give them 5 more Republican seats.
Just for people that don't know, because this does get a little complicated in the weeds of the procedure. So every 10 years, constitutionally, every state is mandated to redraw their district lines based on how the population shifts, right?
Because you want each district to represent the same people, same amount of people.
And that's required by law. Like each district has to represent the same amount of people in your state. So we go through a process called reapportionment. That's when each state gets their number of electoral votes assigned, which is based on the number of members they have in the House of Representatives plus 2 senators, right? After that process concludes and a state like Michigan, for example, knows that it has 13 seats to allocate, we have to redraw our district lines to account for that, and the district lines have to be exact and precise to ensure there are the same number of people in each congressional district. Other than that, though, states largely get to decide how they want to redraw their maps. Here in Michigan, we passed a ballot proposal so that has to be done by independent commission. But in a state like Texas, the legislature does it, which means elected officials are drawing their own seats. They get to choose their own voters. And it results in really fucky maps where you can essentially squeeze, if you're good enough at drawing lines, you can squeeze seats out of your state such that the other party basically can't win. And that's what Trump is asking Texas to do here.
And we're definitely looking at that situation going on right here. I do want to point out one of the notable Democrats affected by this is Jasmine Crockett, and that's no surprise. That is 100% intentional.
She's a rising star.
She's a minority. GOP hates that. And she's also a woman that gets out there and speaks. She's been one of the most effective Democrats when it comes to speaking out against Trump and what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I fuck with Jasmine Crockett.
And the GOP hates that. So, of course, they're trying to kick her out of her House seat and make it so that she just can't win or has to primary another Democrat to even have a shot at maintaining her status in the House.
Honestly, that's fine if she loses her seat because she's my presidential pick for 28 anyway. So.
Real.
Her Ossoff, man. Ossoff's got to change some of his views on some stuff. But like Jasmine Crockett bangs, dude. She's cool.
Please be her and not Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Please be her and not Gavin Newsom, not Gretchen Whitmer, not Kamala Harris, not fucking Pete Buttigieg. Oh my God, man. Please. I just need a dub.
It would be a tragedy if we lose Jasmine Crockett here. And what Texas is doing is it is just cheating. Like gerrymandering is just drawing the map such that your opposition can't win.
Exactly. It's cheating no matter who does it. Like I'll be candid about that. You know what I'm saying? But and if you're not convinced maybe that Trump is doing this, in a statement, the Republican Party of Texas just came out and straight up praised the move, saying it is, quote, an essential step to preserving GOP control in Congress.
Okay.
They're literally just telling you like it is openly and without an ounce of shame.
Yeah.
And they're just getting out here and saying, no, we are trying to cheat to win. And we're doing it. It's going to work.
It's a fundamentally anti-democratic move. And if you're still sort of on the fence about how this works, essentially, like, if you have, let's say, a black neighborhood or like a city that is predominantly liberal voting, or a city that has like a lot of marginalized folks or people
like
of color that are
Austin,
voting,
Texas.
A lot of the time, what Republicans will do is draw lines through the city, split up neighborhoods to dilute their voting power, and pair them with more rural areas so that the rural areas overpower the city areas and you get more red seats.
Yeah, you have big rural area with small sliver of city, so that those city voters just do not get a chance to be represented.
It's just deciding elections before you get to vote. And it's an undemocratic feature of our system that sucks.
It's one of the most corrupt practices in politics that's like legal. If not the most corrupt legal process in politics. And literally everyone hates gerrymandering. That's why it's so insane that like the Texas GOP is just getting out there and saying, yeah, no, we're doing this shit, dog, and it's good and we're going to win. They said
we're doing a partisan gerrymander.
Yeah.
Like they just admitted that that's just supposed to be illegal.
You're not even supposed to be able to like get out and admit that because everybody hates gerrymandering. It's supposed to be a black mark to engage in gerrymandering, but you do it like quietly on the side.
Yeah, and the thing is like, actually, I think partisan gerrymandering is dealt like on a case by case basis. Racial gerrymandering is flatly illegal, but the issue is like, oftentimes when you say you're doing a partisan gerrymander, you're doing a racial gerrymander because we know how voting population demographics break down, and oftentimes if you're doing a partisan gerrymander gerrymander for the GOP, it means you're diluting the vote of black folks.
Yes. Or
and
Hispanic folks in Texas.
And that's intentional.
Yeah.
And that is wholly intentional because they know where you live.
They know where you live. They know the demographic data. Yeah. And yeah, we covered this about a year ago, right? There was like some map that went to the Supreme Court and ultimately got approved because they're like, no, they didn't gerrymander based on racial lines, just Democrat lines.
I think it was North Carolina or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. No, that's fucked. And I know this current Texas map that's coming out, that the legislature's trying to ram through, does some really fucky things with majority minority districts to technically create more majority minority districts, but dilute the vote further with more Republican Hispanic people, and just like they're disenfranchising minorities to nobody's surprise.
I think the Supreme Court, I saw a headline saying that the Supreme Court is considering just getting rid of the requirement for majority minority districts,
which would just
insane.
Be bad. Which just means that no minority would ever get to pick their representative of choice ever.
Like the process of drawing district lines is already fucked.
Yeah.
And I think the majority minority districts is like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound type situation, especially when it comes to voter disenfranchisement of people of color. But it's an absolutely necessary thing in the system that we have. 100%. And it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's fall of the Republic shit. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no, it's funny. And another funny thing that came about this is JD Vance, obviously this move, backlash, just wide backlash. Everybody fucking hates gerrymandering.
You're cheating at a state level.
Except from Republicans, of course, because it's cool when they cheat. But JD Vance thought it would be a good idea to respond to the outrage this caused by saying, quote, he sent this out on a tweet, quote, "The gerrymander in California is outrageous. Of their 52 congressional districts, 9 of them are Republican. That means 17% of their delegation is Republican when Republicans win 40% of the vote in that state. How can this possibly be allowed?" He's obviously trying to deflect away from the negative attention that Texas is getting by pointing to California. But there's a couple interesting things here. One, I have never seen the pot be so disgusted with what color the kettle was. Like, this is just like the hypocrisy.
First
is
of all,
insane.
dude, look at the districts around Columbus and Cleveland in your own fucking state, dog.
Look at Dan Crenshaw's district.
Yeah, like the Ohio gerrymander is disgusting.
Texas. Yeah, Ohio is insane.
Yeah.
Ohio is absolutely ridiculous. And it's like, Texas is barely any better than what's going on here. In 2024, Kamala won 43% of the vote, and Democrats represent about 32% of the Texas delegation. If this new map goes through, Dems would only represent 18%. Mm-hmm. That's putting them in terms with how JD Vance is alleging the California gerrymander is.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between those two states when it comes to gerrymandering? California's gerrymander is done by an independent redistricting commission. Yeah. Texas's is just done by the legislature.
Yeah.
California's, that's just how the cookie crumbles. That's just how these things go. There's just a lot of red dots in blue seas all across the state.
Yeah.
In Texas, it's because the GOP is trying to disenfranchise you.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, that's what it is.
Yeah, people have been saying Texas could be blue for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's because of how the population would vote if they weren't gerrymandered to all hell and if they didn't have insane voter suppression laws like don't hand out water bottles.
Yes. And it's also like there are lists. Like you can look up lists of how gerrymandered states are. California doesn't even come near the top states.
Yeah.
But Texas is near the top of that list, if not the top, every single fucking time.
Yeah, you can just like look up the district maps. I mean, we did this on a live stream a couple of years ago, but like you could look up the district maps for a state like Texas, a state like Ohio. Crazy.
Like, isn't Austin literally like split up into 6 districts so that
it's
nobody
like,
there gets it? Because Austin is obviously city, a place where people want to live, so it's blue.
Yeah.
It's split up into like a bunch of different districts that are all red.
And it pulls in the suburbs. Yeah. That's the goal.
Insane, dude. It is one of the most gerrymandered places around. Like you can't say that. You can't make that fucking argument, dude. And it's like the numbers don't tell the story themselves, but the California map is fair. Yeah. The Texas map is not.
Yeah.
And really it's as simple as that. That's me when I fuck with independent redistricting commissions, which I do. Broadly, Democrats did respond to this, though. Mm-hmm. Democrats finally caught a vibe for once in their tenure as a party. And they're doing the right thing. And I'm sure, as we've all seen by this point, Newsom responded saying he will look into redistricting if Texas goes through with the map. He even retweeted this gerrymandered map of California that pointed out that you can draw California district lines in such a way that you have only Democrat representatives, that all 55 House seats are filled by Democrats, and you can do it so that all of those seats were Kamala plus 10 in 2024.
Yeah, and that's how you know the current California map is pretty fair.
Exactly.
Because you can obliterate all of those seats.
You can absolutely disenfranchise every Republican that lives there. They're just doing it for the sake of democracy, which I rock with, kind of. you know?
Yeah.
I rock with it kind of. You can also arrange the California map so that you have 1 or 2 Republican representatives and every other district is Kamala plus 14.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely fucked, dude. Absolutely fucked.
It's good to see Newsom get serious about this, but I do wonder how it would work if they have an independent commission. Maybe the independent commission only meets once every 10 years, and any other time it's like the state does it themselves.
I don't know.
Which seems fucky, but like, hey, man, it's
I'm
to sign of the
not sure
times.
because there are other Democrats and like Dem governors that have gone out there, responded in kind, but are much more limited in what they can do.
Yeah.
New York and New Jersey said that they would want to do the same thing, but reporting is out there that they can't. I haven't really seen reporting talk about how California can't do it, so I'm assuming that they can if they like pull something. I don't think this push would be I don't think Newsom would be out here pushing this as hard as he is, and I don't think the news would be talking about this like the redistricting war that it is if Newsom couldn't somehow figure out a way to do the redistricting if Texas goes through with it. But it is a lot harder because of the independent redistricting commission. And that's just how the situation is, unfortunately. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy said Republicans are, quote, operating outside of the box right now, and we can't stay inside the box.
I mean, sure, dude, why not?
I think that is literally just the what's it called? The way that the Democrats need to handle this right now. And it's finally catching a vibe. They're finally realizing that Republicans don't do democracy. They don't fuck with democracy. They cheat every single time.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes we need to bend the rules a little bit for ourselves to just maintain the status quo even.
Yeah, if you are playing the game in such a way where you are respecting the rules as written and respecting the spirit of the rules, you're going to lose to the people who are maliciously complying.
Exactly.
Like, because technically, they do have the constitutional authority, as a state like Texas does, to redraw their lines however they want. Like, they're allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. But, like, they're doing so maliciously.
But it's cheating. Like, fundamentally, it's wrong and bad, and there's no reason to, like, neuter yourself. I do got to say, it wouldn't be the Democratic Party if there wasn't one old man who at least couldn't adapt to the moment. This time, Richard Blumenthal said, quote, we shouldn't stoop to their tactics. It's an ideal that we have accurate and fair representation. We can't abandon it just because Republicans try to manipulate and distort it. And I got to say, man, that's like saying we shouldn't have fought the Nazis because war is bad.
Yeah, we can't stoop to their level. They're killing people.
Can't stoop to their level. Oh no, they're absolutely running over us and disenfranchising their voters. We can't possibly do something to at least maintain the previous status quo.
I don't get this worldview. Like, the Republican Party is trampling all over the norms you hold so dear. If they win power, they're going to obliterate all of those norms and tradition with the power that they won over you.
Exactly.
If you want to protect the system as it exists, even if you're just a fucking moderate, you got to win power.
There are no ideal. You can't afford to have ideals in a situation where there are two options and one option is not playing by the rules. The rules don't matter when one party in a two-party system decides to not abide by them. Mm-hmm. You can't play Monopoly with somebody who's just shitting on the board.
Exactly. Big on that.
The game fundamentally breaks down, man. It's like, yes, gerrymandering is bad. Yes, Democrats do it too. But the weight at which Republicans gerrymander is just far beyond what the Democrats do. Per the AP quote, when the redistricting cycle kicked off in 2021 after the last census, independent commissions were in charge of drawing 95 House seats that otherwise would have been drawn by Democrats, but only 13 that would have been created by Republicans. Mm-hmm. This is a lopsided issue. Yeah. Most red states control their own redistricting. Of the states that aren't single district, have split control, or have independent commissions, 21 of them are red, while there are only 9 blue states. Mm-hmm. More than double the amount of blue states that can gerrymander are red, and they do gerrymander.
Yeah. Like, independent redistricting commissions is like the only way to do it. Like, the only fair way to do it in the system that we have. But the states that need it the most are the least likely to implement it because they're doing Republican gerrymanders. Mm-hmm. Like, Michigan has one now, and I guess Michigan's like a purple state now, which I resent greatly.
Yes.
But like, California has one, New York has one. It's like, that's a good thing that you have one. But I wasn't worried about California, New York, and Michigan. I was more so worried about fucking Texas and Ohio.
And it's like, in this current political climate specifically, right? Like, sure, I'm against gerrymandering.
Yeah.
But it is clear to me, it should be clear to everybody that you can't have a situation where one side justly neuters themselves and expects things to work out.
Yeah.
Because conservatives are going out here and doing the most bad, corrupt thing that they can legally do. Mm-hmm. And you just don't have a way to defend against it.
Yeah.
At this point, there should not be independent redistricting commissions state by state. It needs to be a thing that's imposed nationally. Yeah. It needs to be something that's in federal law. It was in H.R. 1, but every single Republican voted against that, way back when.
That bill fucked so hard, man.
If H.R. 1 would have passed, things would be incredibly different right now, but that doesn't fucking matter because it didn't pass. But either way, Democrats should not neuter themselves if they can stop the neutering, or they should reverse it if possible, because we need to be able to fight back, dude. And it's like, let me put it in terms that should stick out to you, right? Right now, Republicans only have a 7-seat lead in the House, and that's only because 3 Democrats died and 1 Republican resigned in July.
Shout out
At the start of this Congress, they only had a 5-seat majority. Republicans had a 5-seat majority. That would be completely wiped out if California was properly districted.
If California stood on business.
We'd win right now. And that's important, too. If 93 seats who wouldn't have been controlled by blue states wouldn't be held to an independent redistricting commission, it's very clear, it's very likely that we would have had at least, 6 Democrats elected that wouldn't have otherwise been Democratic. You don't even need that much. You only need 3 to tip the scales because one that gets elected takes away from the other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's it. You only need to flip 3 seats to gain control of the House. If we would have done that, if we wouldn't have had these redistricting commissions, or if we would have redistricting commissions everywhere, Republicans would not have been able to pass the big, beautiful bill. They would not have been able to pass the ICE funding stuff. They would not have been able to do any of the awful shit that they've already done and that they will continue to do throughout this Congress.
Yeah.
You gotta fight back somehow.
Yeah.
Straight up, dude. Democracy doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's not something that just exists and spawns out of nowhere. It requires constant work and constant maintenance. And American democracy specifically already didn't really work, right? Mm-hmm. When you only have 2 options, you really don't have choice. You really don't have the right to pick who could most ideally represent you. But that all just goes out the window when the small little bits of democracy that we already had go out the window when one of your 2 options is explicitly operating in bad faith.
Yeah.
It's just not something that can function. It's not a system that can work.
Yeah, one of the 2 operating in bad faith explicitly to destroy what exists of democracy.
Yes.
There are so many people in the right-wing faction that do not believe the people should rule, that the majority should rule. And that's a threat to democracy. Think about the majority of human history has been dictatorial authoritarian rule. Mm-hmm. I'm talking kings and monarchs and military dictators and shit like that. Democracy, for all intents and purposes, is a blip. Yeah. And if we don't protect it, it's not going to last.
And there are going to be actors that get out there and constantly want to abuse the democratic norms, abuse constitutions, abuse the laws in ways so that they can degrade democracy, and that should be resisted radically. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't hold yourself to rules that the opponent isn't. Yeah. Especially when the stakes are so high like this.
Yeah, the norms can only exist if you're both willing to play by the rules, and they clearly are not. And that's a threat.
It's like a social contract
It's a social contract. I would call it a social contract.
A new thing that I've coined.
I'm going to write a book called The Social Contract.
Yeah, I think it could be a big hit, guys. I'll close off this little segment by saying I think the worst thing about all of this is that it's just increasing Newsom stock in 2028.
Oh, man, it sucks.
Because if he does redistrict California, it's just... He's doing things.
He might just be the guy.
He's doing things. He told Trump to arrest him. He's just...
He wants it, man.
Unfortunately, he might just be the guy. It's going to be an uphill battle for anybody else.
I'm holding out hope that it's somebody else, somebody other than him or Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris. That's the nominee. But also, I keep reminding myself, FDR was a rich guy. You know what I mean? FDR was a rich guy who just had a turn of heart after getting sick. So, maybe Newsom could be our FDR. I'm getting ahead of myself probably. But
maybe Newsom could have a change. Maybe Newsom could be visited by the ghost of Christmas past or whatever, and one night and just emerge the next day and be the most radical president we've ever had.
I don't think Newsom can be our FDR type candidate because he likes to kill homeless people too much. But I don't know, man. We need somebody to lock in, and it seems like he's the only one really locking in at a national level right now.
Unfortunate, man. And I get there's really no other progressives that have been positioned to lock in like that, other than maybe Pritzker. Maybe Pritzker could have done the same thing that Newsom did in Illinois, but it never would have been as big as what happened in California. Yeah. Like there's just a bias there that would be hard to overcome. But man,
Pritz could definitely lock in if he wanted to.
He could.
Pritzker
he could buy the race.
I mean, AOC could lock in and do something crazy, but she seems to get hung up on a lot of this Israel stuff. So I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's for better or for worse, right? But not great.
Not great at all. Not great at all.
Now, should we talk about jobs?
I think we should talk about jobs. The show? Something else that's not great at all, apparently, in every facet of the discussion.
No, job numbers bad. Recession went. I was just getting lunch before the show here at a little food market across the street from my apartment.
Yep.
And I was filling up my little tin at the little buffet, and I hear as I walk up to the register, like, oh yeah, prices went up. And someone asked why, and the person at the register was like, "Oh, inflation, just flat out,
Trumpflation,
inflation." And lo and behold, my receipt more expensive. It's fucked up.
It's
a fellow was just trying to eat before work.
Get lunch.
I'm saying
$20 lunch before work. Who could fucking? Oh my god, that's untenable.
That's Trumpflation.
That's anti-working class.
So I'm wondering when this recession is coming, and we got another recession indicator. It just happened. Was it over the weekend or something like that?
It was like Friday, I think.
Yeah, the Bureau of Labor Statistics had to revise their May and June job numbers, which is a fairly common thing for them to do.
Yes.
The BLS is always like revising their job numbers because initially, it's not uncommon to like be wrong here by some degree because when they first make estimates, they're making estimates, right? And then later they come back and revise their numbers based on the actual jobs that were added to the economy. But for May and June, the economy ended up adding 250,000 less jobs than was anticipated originally for those 2 months. And the July numbers were far lower than they were anticipated to be. So that's bad.
Do you know the numbers? Because wasn't it like in May they estimated like 144,000 jobs, but it was only 14,000?
Yes, something like that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
14,000 new jobs?
They had to drop the numbers quite considerably. And now the estimate for July, I think, is 73,000, which makes me think like, oh boy, it's going to be really low once they fully revise.
I've heard that like anything lower than 100,000 is just kind of like,
Yeah.
Like that's not good.
And obviously, like the job numbers, the jobs report is just like one metric for the economy to see if it's growing and see if new jobs are being added. Of course, when we talk about jobs numbers, like 100,000 is technically like a drop in the bucket compared to, the 150 million some jobs that are like tabulated in these results. But it is still one indicator. And I think the key here is probably just tariffs.
Yes.
Like, I think that's probably all it is just tariffs.
And maybe it's tariffs, maybe it's other things.
It's an uncertain market.
Like, all I know is that everything is bad right now.
Yeah, it feels bad.
The way that the stock market reacts to anything that this guy does is just insane. It is incredibly bipolar.
Yeah, probably Fed rates, too. Fed rates have been high for quite a while, so it's probably that as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help that Trump is threatening to fire Jerome Powell, so.
Trump's threatening to fire Jerome Powell, and then Trump just did fire the head of BLS.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the big thing here. Like, job numbers are one thing. The job numbers being bad is one thing. I'm not an economist. I'm not even going to pretend I fully or even partly understand what job numbers mean. I know they're a macroeconomic indicator. I know that people rely on these things to make predictions about, I don't know, the fucking stock market and other business things like that. But what I do know is it's bad that Trump got something that he thinks it doesn't even. Trump got a piece of data that runs counter to his narrative about how the country's going and how his leadership is going, and then he fired the person who produced that data. Mm-hmm. I know that that's bad. Mm-hmm. Whatever you have to say about the numbers, I know that that's bad, and I know that that's a dangerous place. And the justification here was kind of just Trump saying that, oh, this person was appointed by Joe Biden and blah, 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 so they must be a political appointee. They must be doing things politically for nefarious reasons. That's what he tweeted out on Truth Social. That's what he said. So I'm going to fire her and put in my own guy now.
Yeah, I'm going to install a loyalist to give me good numbers.
Every accusation is a confession.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's like, how could we ever begin to trust the numbers that come out of the administration after Trump fired her for having numbers that he disagreed with?
No, yeah. August job numbers are going to be like, yeah, we added 1 billion jobs to the economy. Like, it's going to, there's no reason to trust it anymore.
One job for everyone. This is like the fucking Soviet bloc, mandatory full employment.
Like, you can have all the hangups with the American bureaucracy, the bureaucratic state that you want, right? But one thing that was like low-key pretty good about it was that it could produce some unbiased statistical analysis.
Yeah.
And it can produce some results so that like we can get a sense for how the economy was going. People would disagree about the interpretation of those numbers, but at least we could like count on the validity and reliability of those numbers. That shit's just out the window now.
Absolutely.
Fully out the window.
And it's like part of the explanation that like Trump's economic advisor has been giving is that like, oh, we just want our own. He said like we want our own guy in there so that when we get numbers that are confusing, we can ask them and understand them. You could have gone and asked her.
Dog, they work for you.
They work for you. It's literally the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can ask about their methodology. You can ask how they came to these things. You can ask where this disconnect happened.
Yeah.
Because like it's a massive disconnect. It's not like unprecedented. You could figure it out. You don't need to fire her and instill like your own yes man.
Yeah.
And that's why this is bad. That's why this is dangerous, and this should be clear as day. Now, this macroeconomic indicator cannot be trusted. Mm-hmm. This can't be good for business. This can't be good for the people that Trump pretends that he's good for. This isn't good for anything. This isn't good for truth.
Yeah, and I haven't checked the markets today, but I know when he made this decision or said some shit like when the report initially came out, markets started falling. Trump over the weekend basically fired this person or said he was going to fire them. And now I would imagine things aren't going very well either. But no, it's bad, and I'm wondering like the sense I think from markets and from businesses on the tariffs has been like, oh, this shit's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because Trump, Taco Trump, right? Like he keeps backing out. He's never actually putting the tariff rates into effect. If he does, they only last for a little bit. So it's not like you're consistently paying a higher import tax or anything like that. So I think businesses were kind of in a state of disbelief, businesses and investors were in a state of disbelief thinking like, okay, this isn't actually going to go into effect. But now that he's firing people that produce like important statistics for running business and making investments, I don't know what they're going to make of this.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just keep going like nothing's really changed because they're still making some money, but I don't know, man. It feels bad.
And it's just like Trump has said, like he's very publicly wanted to fire Jerome Powell, but like he can't. But it's like the Bureau of Labor Statistics obviously is not the Fed. It doesn't have the same independence that the Fed has, but it operates on the same principle of independence. Yes, the chief is a political appointee, but like so is Jerome Powell. Mm-hmm. Like the president nominates them, the Senate confirms them. The current chief that Trump just fired was appointed like 89 to something in 2024. Yeah. JD Vance voted to appoint her.
Come on, man.
JD Vance literally voted to appoint her, and now they're firing her and saying like, "Oh, this is what Biden did. This is a Biden thing. She's a hack."
Even though she released, or her bureau released revised numbers in I think August of 2024
during the election,
that would have made Kamala Harris look pretty bad. Mm-hmm. Like it could have contributed to people not trusting her on the economy because I think they revised the numbers down a couple 100,000 over the course of
800,000 over the course of a year.
Over the course of a year, yeah, exactly. So it's like it's not like they were working in a political capacity. And it's important that these bureaucratic positions are sort of like free from overt political influence so they can produce unbiased results. Otherwise, they're never going to tell on their boss.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
And now this next person is never going to tell on his boss because Trump can just get rid of them if they do and put a new person in.
Yeah.
And it's what he's been saying he wants to do. It's literally the thing he openly wants to do with the Fed. He wants to put a guy in there and say negative interest rate.
Yeah, no, it's literally his approach to like COVID testing. As long as we don't test, then the cases aren't there.
Yeah.
As long as we don't look at the jobs reports, then the jobs aren't being lost, right? Like it's fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's like it's the same sort of mindset that they're taking to the CDC or any of like the health agencies where they're just like not testing for certain types of cancers or disease anymore. It's the same mindset they're taking everywhere in the government, where if we just don't look at the problems, if we don't report the problems, it won't make Trump look bad and there won't be any problems. And that's end of an empire type shit. It's bad.
We're really speed running just the degradation of the nation right here. We were doing like okay.
7 months in, man. Just about.
Yeah, 3 more years left.
3 more years.
3 more years. Wow, what a good time. What good prospects we have to look through. So that's the numbers on job growth.
Yeah.
Now we need to talk about the numbers on Patreon growth.
Oh my God. I love Patreon
Give
growth.
a special shout out to the people who keep that number ticking up.
That's
starting
so true.
with
so true.
Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Chaplinsky, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vasquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Bega Burrito, Cincy, Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutts, Jennifer DeVille, Crawfishin, Bennett Bennington III, Alexi Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Carker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica AKAV, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Murder in Trenchcoat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Gon, Iguana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cami, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Anna Valenic, Casey C., Say Yes to West, August, Particular Pickman, Sir Capalot, Jeff Signs, Brendan's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop,
Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Walls 3000, Chris T, Kishan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Rod Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Johnny GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Do Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Eddie Buck, Merlin, Cryle Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majawa, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney, 6-inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Joshua Franklin, Southern Lefty, Lark 61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Mark Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. If you want your name on the list, what are you doing here?
You know where to go.
Go over to Patreon, sign up, early access, yada yada. And we'll see you next time.
See you on Thursday.